So we've seen that we need a practice of reciprocal opening. I'm going to teach you such a practice. So in the practice, you first find your center, find your root, and then what you do is you direct reciprocal opening first towards yourself. Remember, you are dialogical. May I reciprocally open to you, and you're directing that to yourself. So what you're trying to do is the same thing you do when you're trying to befriend someone. You're trying to befriend yourself. You're trying to see more of them and open yourself more up to them. You reciprocally open. What you do first is, first of all, bring that existential moding, that process of co-identification, because you identify with yourself, the I and the you, and the I and the me. Bring that into your awareness. What does that feel like to you? When you take up that relationship to yourself, when you aspire to a ratio religio to yourself, what does that provoke in you? Anxiety, coldness, anger, emptiness, numbness, warmth. Embody it. Become aware of it. It's no longer going to happen unconsciously, automatically, reactively. You're going to bring it into awareness. And as you're doing that reciprocal opening to yourself, may I reciprocally open to you. May I reciprocally open. You're bringing the relationship into awareness. And you may want to do what I'm doing. I do this when I practice it. I actually do this reciprocal opening gesture. And first of all, I bring it into awareness, and then I try to see, am I having myself? Am I consuming myself? Am I controlling myself? And we say this so easily now without realizing, or am I being myself? This is the deeper meaning of authenticity. Can you move into the being mode and reciprocally open to yourself? Being yourself doesn't mean acting impulsively. That's just wanton license. It means deeply befriending yourself as you aspire to virtue. Because that's what friends do. A buddy is just somebody you have fun with. You enjoy a friend because they love you and you love them, and you are helping each other to become more virtuous and wise. May I reciprocally open to you. Next, pick a person that you're close to. And notice we use these spatial metaphors. For example, I may pick my son, perhaps my older son or my younger son. And may I reciprocally open to you. Oh, well, what identity am I assuming? I'm the father, he's the son. Well, can I see him other than as my son? Not in place of, but other than. Can I see him other than my son? Can I open myself up to him and be other than just a father? Not in place of, other than. You see how I'm opening up the multi-aspectuality here. What's it like when I bring that co-identification process into awareness? What does it feel like? There's some anxiety for me, a sense of responsibility, but when I open it up, maybe because I'm trying to hold on to this father role a little too tightly. Oh, the modal confusion. I have a son rather than I'm in relationship with him. I'm living vicariously through him. I don't want him to make my mistakes. But that's mixed up with I don't want to have made those mistakes. So I'm going to really try and open up. What's it feel like, that co-identification process? And I'm going to try and shift out of the having mode into the being mode, into an attitude. I'm safe here. I can seriously play with this like I play music or I play Tai Chi. All the time, I have an image of him in mind. May I reciprocally open to you. Then I pick somebody further out. This is a neutral person. Somebody that I know, but I haven't really opened up to them. They haven't opened up to me. I may not know their name. I may know their name, but may I reciprocally open to you? What would it be like? What does it feel like when I bring the identity? Oh, well, I am just purchasing a newspaper and you're just selling me a newspaper. That's all that's here. Well, of course it's not. One of the jobs of morality is, of course, to remember that people are never just ends. They're never just instruments. They're always intrinsically valuable, important, real. And I try to remember sati, prosas, prokairon. I try to remember that. May I reciprocally open to you. May I reciprocally open to you. And I shouldn't just have you and have a categorical relationship. I should open up to the being mode. Next, somebody you're in conflict with. The tradition says, like, the enemy. Hopefully you don't have enemies. People dedicated to your destruction. I'm old enough that I do, but hopefully you don't. Now here's where we can get really a little confused, because we can think the point of this is forgiveness, and then we have largely in our culture done with forgiveness what we've done with love. We think of forgiveness as an emotion, it's a particular feeling. I have to have particular feelings. That's not forgiveness. You're giving for. You're taking a particular existential stance towards someone so that a possibility of reorientation between the two of you is now made possible. You're moving out of a transactional frame in which people have to earn things from you, or you have to control them. You're trying to take a stance outside of that, which doesn't mean what we now mean by forgiveness. So just put that word aside, because I don't think it's helpful for you unless you have this deeper understanding of forgiveness as an existential mode. So what I do now, I call up the image and the name of that person. May I reciprocally open to you. Well, what's the existential moding? What's the age arena? I am the victim and you are the villain. I am the hero, you are the obstacle. I am the chosen one, you are the neglected or rejected one. Bring it up. Become aware of it. It's no longer running unconsciously, automatically, reactively. And how does that taste in your mind and body? And part of you is like, and you'll feel part of you pushing away, but part of you, I love this role that I have. I love hate it, and I hate love you, and it's messed up. You know that. But see if you can let go of having those roles and having that script and having that self-righteousness. Again, you're not trying to generate positive feelings of affection. You're trying to move into the being mode and reciprocally open. I want to see you other than I see you. And I want to make it possible for you to see me other than how you see me. And not by giving you my prearranged script. I want to discover with you what you have not seen in me yet. I reciprocally open. Now I can do reciprocal opening towards all people. What's your relationship towards humanity? And can you reciprocally open towards it? First, bring the moding into awareness, awaken to the moding, and then awaken from any modal confusion. Can you go from just having a picture or having a background to being with all of these people imaginally? Now, you're not going to imagine all of them individually. You can't. You may only picture 7 or 8 people, but that's not what matters. It's not the picture. You're not imagining. You're doing something imaginal. It's not imaginary, it's imaginal. then you may do that for a while, but then can you reciprocally open towards all beings? What's your attitude toward, well, let's do first of all sentient beings. What's your attitude? Because we know we have a messed up attitude towards our environment, our ecological partners. We just have them. They're resources. Can we move? Can we first of all become aware of that mode, the I-it we have, and can we awaken to it and then awaken from it and come back into a being mode, reciprocally open with all sentient beings? You may stop there. You can go even further, reciprocally open towards all beings. A being is anything. Because remember that you don't really have things the way you think you do, that they're multi-aspectual and multi-perspectival. Can you open up to the being mode by doing something like eidetic adduction towards them and opening yourself up to them by seeing yourself as much more multi-aspectual, multi-perspectival, dialogical? You may stop there. Or you may reciprocally open to being itself, the ground of being, the no-thingness, and open yourself up to the no-thingness, no-thingness to no-thingness, the deepest conformity, the deepest reciprocal opening, the deepest being mode. And that is how you do reciprocal opening. I recommend that you make this a regular practice. This is a powerful contemplative practice. Meditative practice is you're stepping back and looking at your mental framing. Contemplative practice, contemplatio, theoria, you're looking through. You need to do both. You need to do the meditation to see if your framing is distorting things. But you also need to know if the changes you've made in your mental framing allow you to see more deeply and clearly. You need to do a contemplative practice. That's what reciprocal opening does for you. And like I say, I find it helpful when I do it to actually do this opening movement, reciprocal opening gesture as I move through the various stages of reciprocal opening. And of course, gauge the amount of movement in terms of how many stages you want to go through. Always yourself, a close person, a neutral person, a conflict person, and then all people. But you may want to go further, and I recommend eventually you do go further. All sentient beings, being itself. Sorry, all sentient beings, all beings, being itself. That's the reciprocal opening practice.